Good morning, Carnation Crafters, and a huge warm welcome to Carnation Crafts. We are live in the Carnation Craft studio, which means I've got Miss Taz back. And I've told her she's not allowed to leave me again. I did not enjoy doing shows and not having Miss Taz here. I need the help. Yes, Pam Lillington says, good morning, Carla and Miss Taz. You need to not let her go away again. That's the rules. Although she does appear to have forgotten how to do her job, so we'll get around it.
Hey, we've come on air, it's fine.
We are here, that's the main thing. So we are with you today for Into the Sunlight. Now, some of you may have seen this already. In fact, some of you probably already have it, but we get to play it this morning and do some demos with it. It's stolen my heart in such a massive way. I love the vintage feel to it. There's something very Cath Kidston about it. It's got that really gorgeous chic to it. Those cameos, the floral cameos that you see sitting at the front here where my finger is, they are just extremely beautiful. But the card shape itself as well is extraordinary, and you'll see as we play with that. Then you've got your little creatures, which are the bounding into summer. And then we've got gorgeous tuck-ins that we can use and beautiful elements as well. So you've got those light work accents that are so important. And then your dancing flourish, which has got that gorgeous shape to it, that beautiful shape that's almost like a musical treble clef, and with love hearts in there as well, with those fuzzy bumblebees as well. So really, really pretty. And then lead the way with those signs for the trees. We'll have a look through the boards and we will go through everything as we're going, and then we'll demo with it too. But if you want to get hold of that this morning, you need to go to the Carnation Crafts website. That's www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You'll find this under the number 230413. Special price today of $89.99. However, you will need your code from the newsletter in order to get it that price. If you don't have the code, it will be $99.99. Normally this has a combined price to it of £135.94. So just to let you know. And just bear with me 1 second, Miss Taz, are we still live? Can you just check for me, because it's saying on here that mine has gone off. Hopefully we are still live, and if we are, then I apologise. Just let me see, mine's disconnecting. I think we're still here.
We should be, you haven't been told that we're not.
If it goes off, you can't message because we won't be there. I think we're okay, it's just...
I've got it on.
I think it flashed and said it had gone off on Facebook. So hopefully we're still there. Somebody's sending a love heart, so I think you can still see me. So yes, you can get this on the website for 230413. That is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. But it's not the only thing that we've got that matches in with this. There are the most gorgeous perfect papers. The colourway on Into the Sunlight is extraordinary, and the greens and the teals that you'll see. Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, they're saying we're still here, and somebody else is saying that as well. Jan Bird is still saying that we're okay.
I go away for a week.
You've messed everything up, Miss Taz.
No.
This is why you are not allowed to go away, because you've messed it all up. We're going to blame Miss Taz for everything this morning because she left me. The rules. Those perfect papers. So as you can see, when Miss Taz was showing you there, you've got those beautiful pattern pieces. So we've got those stripes and those dots. The greens that are in here are just exquisite to work with. Really pretty, and you'll see as we go through demo, these are just pretty. And both the card shapes for this, we've also got some nested DLs, and I'll talk about those in a second. But the card shape and the nested, they're both in that kind of DL format as well. So you get these gorgeous, graceful lines through your cards. I'm in love. I'm in love with this whole collection. I'm so chuffed that I get to play with it again with you guys today, because it's pretty as a picture. Everybody is saying good morning. So I'll say hello to you guys, and then we will start looking at boards, and then I'll show you those DLs as well. Good morning, Karen Vincent. Good morning, Karen Richardson. Good morning, Suzanne. Did Miss Taz have a good holiday? We're not talking to her about it.
I ate all the pasta.
She ate all the pasta and drank all of the vino. Apparently she had a very lovely time. Good morning, Jan Bird. Good morning, Deirdre. Good morning, Vera. And lots of you saying you're still here. Good morning, Diane. And good morning, Linda, and good morning, Maggie. And let's have a look who's on YouTube. We've got Debbie Anderson over on YouTube. Good morning, lovely. And we've got Angela as well. Good morning, lovely to you as well. So let's have a look at the boards. Then we're going to talk about that nested DL, and then we're going to demo. And we're going to demo heavy. I've got 5 demos. I'm hoping to get through all of them. We'll play it by ear. So the boards. This is extraordinary. That beautiful card shape. Miss Taz is telling me I'm skew whiff. About right, Miss Taz?
Yep.
So we have got this. I love this. I'm so in love with that panel. It's really beautiful. This is really special as well. So see how it's got 2 tabs here. 1 tab at this side, 1 tab at that side. You've got corresponding lines here, and that fits diagonally across, and those tabs slip in and you can glue them underneath for security, and you get this beautiful dome. If you want to send this by post, you are better off leaving one unhinged, if you like, and you'll be able to then sort of slip it in and out. Miss Taz is just sending me one here so I can show you guys. You see how you get this beautiful doming? It's so pretty. This whole set is just absolutely gorgeous. So unusual. There's something really gorgeous about the dimension with it. Lovely filigree there as well, which you can choose to use. You can obviously use it without. It becomes very modern when you just use this one panel. And just to show you that in the red and whites, that's the metal that you get. Really pretty. Lovely corner edges as well. I love corners so much for card making. But it's these, guys. These are just wonderful, aren't they? They've got something about them that reminds me of like Victorian tins is the best way I can phrase it. And as soon as I saw them, it just appeals to me in so many ways. If you could see the rest of my house, you would see how these just fit in. Really, really lovely. That kind of shabby chic feel to them. Beautiful labels to use. Gorgeous decoupage that we can add to. Look at the gorgeous layers. So you can make cards just from those. Just bear with me while I lean over and show you. With the most simple ways of doing something, we can. Am I better on that side, Miss Towns? Which side? So you can see, look at that. Just so easy to make the cards. Really, really simple. Beautiful, aren't they? Never stop dreaming. And then another simple one, but made from the main card shape, where you've got that kind of folded edge on it. Really pretty. Judy says, good morning, Carla and Miss Taz. Where's the sun? Beautiful dies as always. Actually, I think it's quite sunny here, is it? Did I look outside this morning? I think I didn't look outside. I think I'm just warm. These are your Is it muggy? I think it's a bit muggy. So you've got your gorgeous decoupage elements here to go with those as well. All your pieces that you can use as tuck-ins as well. Think of your other florals. Think of where you can bring these in. Using these on the Sheer Delight embroidery hoop would just be exquisite. The roses are stunning. So think of how you build these florals. I've said it before and I've said it again. Carnation can never bring me enough florals. They do them so well, and it gives us such a gorgeous variety when we're making our cards. She is so special. Absolutely stunning. She's so gorgeous. Really gives a gorgeous pop on your cards. Then you've got your little squirrels, which I love. Little eyes, look. And then that beautiful owl. So you've got the larger one and the smaller one too. So you can create either perspective, or you could do it as almost like a parent-child. Really, really pretty. Good morning, Trina. How are you doing, lovely? Good morning, Sue Martin. Good morning, I have this collection, love your demos and seeing the DT's examples for inspiration. Morning, Miss Taz. Sue, if you've got this collection, get it out and let's craft together, because I'll be doing some demos in a moment. We can do all of the crafting. What's wrong, Miss Taz?
Yeah.
Is my hair annoying you on my microphone? I was talking to Miss Taz this morning. I think I'm going to go and change my hair completely. I've got the urge, so I think I'm going to get it all cut off and change the colour. None of you are interested in this. I'm just telling you. Is it still annoying you?
It keeps going over the mic.
I'm gonna send her back to Italy if she carries on. We've got the beautiful lightworks going. Look at these. When they're done in the whites, and then if you cut some of them in green, so some in white, some in green, and you bring that through, and you sit them layered on top of each other, you get a really beautiful definition of the green because the white brings the colour out. And especially if you're doing that white on white, because it's got that really, I'll show you, it's just really effective. But try and cut some in green, some in white, and see how it plays with each other, especially with those perfect papers, because they're so gorgeous. Trina says a red short bob would suit you, Carla. I'm going to be totally honest with you, Trina. I'm thinking of going blonde because I have to dye it every week at the minute because I'm obviously very grey underneath it. So I'm thinking of just going blonde, and then I can stop dyeing it, or just dye it silver. I'm going to stop talking about my hair because you know, I'm not paid for that. And then we've got this beautiful dancing flower. I love this. That on its own on a card is stunning. That with a sentiment on its own. Don't ever underestimate the power of carnation. We don't need to dress everything up. If you put that on a card, if you use some of your blush papers so you get a differentiation between your whites and your blush, it is pretty as a picture. It's so gorgeous. Love it. And then you've got your little fuzzy wombles as well, which are just beautiful, aren't they? Really sweet. I love the way they do their bees. This also incredibly powerful. Why is it powerful? Because when you look at it, you're like, well, what is it? It can be used as a tree in the distance, where you can turn it, you can use it as a branch for those animals to sit on that we've got here. You've also got your line here for those animals to sit on. We need grounding devices to make sense of what's happening on the cards. But we also have these little signposts. Again, you can stick this across as if it's a signpost on a tree, or you can have your little birds sitting on here as well. You can cut that in white, and you can, if you've got the tiny stamps, you can use those as well. I was meant to bring my stamps up with me actually. I was going to show you some of the stamps that I was using when I was making demos this week, because actually Carnation have got some really lovely sentiment stamps, but some of them are very, very tiny, and so we can use them on small pieces like that as well. So if ever you're looking for sentiment stamps, have a look on Carnation's website and look through the different ones that they've got, because their sentiment stamps are really pretty, and some of them are very bold and very big, and some of them are very, very tiny. Pam said I wasn't going to buy. I really wasn't, but I did. And Sue Martin put resistance is a waste of time. It's true, right? So that is the main collection, but we also have an addition this time, and Carnation doing their nesteds. It's always a thrill, isn't it? So they did the nested DLs, and I love them. They work so well with this collection, they really do. And I'll show you some demos with this and with the main card shape so you can see both of them. Good morning, Debbie Haywood, how are you doing? So you can see both of them working together, but these are just rich. They're really rich, these DLs. And so you get this really stunning profile on your cards with very, very little effort. Really beautiful to work with. So I'll show you those. So your nested DLs are on the Carnation website, 230420. And the show price today is $24.99 and $2.95 P&P. Just to let you all know that Carnation have a $2.95 P&P on anything that is under £50. However, if you do go over the £50 mark, all of your postage and packaging is free in the UK. If you're overseas, obviously that does change. But for the UK, it is absolutely worth it. I'm just going to show you a couple of samples with this because some of these are so pretty. Can you see this? See how? Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that so sweet? Really beautiful. And that's obviously done on one of those fine, it's like an invisible thread. Beautiful use of the florals here. Really gorgeous. Use of, you know, using your circular dies to cut out the half circle and then being able to bring that in. Really nice way of working it. So really pretty on those. But let's have a look at some of those main collection pieces because look. How stunning is that? Really, really gorgeous. Judy says, do the vignettes for the floral label type dies have the ability to type on pre-printing? I don't believe so. I don't think so, not this time. Perfect for stamping on, but no, I don't believe so. Liz Lacey says, good morning. Bought set is so lovely, isn't it? It's really pretty, really pretty. There's something so beautifully feminine about it. And it's a really gentle, feminine collection. It's exquisite. It's so beautiful. I'll show you a couple more of the samples and then we'll get to demo. I'm just going to, because I want to show you kind of that modern pop as well that we get by using this. Really gorgeous, that beautiful set on the main card shape where you've got those panels and how we can use those. Again, I'll show you through demo different ways of doing it, but just to show you some more traditional, pretty, 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 gorgeous use. And then finally the one we were looking at before. I love the colours. Those perfect papers are outstanding. Absolutely outstanding for this collection. I've got to say, I don't know if Carnation are going to, I think no, I don't see any reason why not, if they're going to carry on doing the patterns on the perfect papers. But I'm giving a big shout out to keep them because I love them. I love the fact that I get to choose between those block colours and then the patterns as well. So I really do hope they keep it because I think it's really lovely to have the change to play with. So demos, first of all, look, I got a great big pile of demos to do. I just want to talk to those of you who don't know Carnation and who are just joining us about what is a vignette. How do I get the artwork? The artwork's free. It's on the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You go to downloads and then you go to free downloads. I start talking very slowly at this point because Ms. Taz's computer is slower. You go to free downloads and then on the right hand side is a box that says collections, and in there you just type in what you want. So this would be Into the Sunlight. And when you click that, lots of images will come up with different PDFs and you'll see that lots of those are free. So that's your backing papers and your vignettes. What is a vignette? A vignette is a piece of artwork. And to explain to you all, Carnation Crafts do all of their artwork in-house. So Nick is the creative director of Carnation Crafts. He has a team of artists and they create art in-house for every single collection. So from the moment the pen hits the paper and they start sketching out, the cut lines that you get in a Carnation die are already incorporated into that sketchwork. So everything is made to be a die at the end of it, and that's important. That is what you get, and you get all of that artwork for free. Hand-drawn art for free. And this is what it looks like. Some of the ones that you get don't have a black line on. For the ones that don't have a black line, pop your die on top, put it through a machine, and you've got your artwork cut out. For those of them that do, you fold it on the black line and you glue the inside of it. So you're folding it over to an A5 and then you pop your die on top and pop that through your machine. You'll have an image on both sides of the die cut. Really, really useful because you can change your peripheries if you like. So instead of just having it facing that way, you can flip it and have it facing that way. Useful. So that is basic principles. So let's have a look at that. I think I'm going to fall off my chair, Miss Taz, just to let you know. Let's have a look at this. I love the colours of this so much. Let's have a scan. Sorry, Miss Taz, is this loud in your microphone? Oh! You're going to go on holiday next week? I made her breakfast when she walked in this morning. I was a very, very good host. And I told her I missed her, so I think that's enough. I think my work here is done. I'm just going to spray this here. And then put this here. Right, let's prep. So, I can do the seeings. Card shape cut twice. Now this is one of the nested DLs. So we're looking at these just to have a look. Okay, so it's the outside one. I've cut it twice and I'm just going to remove that where the score line is at 1/2 inch, fold it back so it faces your body. I know lots of you know this process, but we always have new starters and we always have people who are brand new to Carnation, and that's why we will always go over the points. Everybody should have a chance to learn, right? That's your card base done. And then we'll go, oh, these colours. You've seen all these coming together, Taz. Look at those colours. Aren't they absolutely extraordinary? And that pattern. Now, I am somebody who talks to you, my glasses are really dirty. I'm somebody who talks to you all the time about not working on colour, but working on white with colour in the background because I have trouble seeing things. This is an exception to that rule, especially on this colour and especially with this collection, because it plays in a very, very pretty way. So let's just take these from here, half and half for your tabs. So this is the next size down in those DLs. We're just working incrementally. And I'm just going to get that roughly in place. I can't lean over, so I can't perfectly see. Push, pull. Good morning, Pam Simpson. How you doing, lovely? Are you okay? And then I'm going to use the next layer, this beautiful cut. Look at that. So pretty. I'm working on 3mm foam tape here. I'm not going heavy on the height, but I am getting some separation through. Push, pull, and just that, a sentiment on that. Those perfect papers are gorgeous. That colour is so pretty. So this is a very, very simple card, okay? We've got that beautiful paneling, that beautiful label, and it is so pretty, right? There's something about it. Really gorgeous. And I've got choices. Pam says, hugs, I'm fine, just coming from walking Grace. Hubby's gone fishing. That sounds really nice. A little bit of peace and quiet in the morning. Good morning, Jane Allen. So I've got choices with this, and my choices are, do I raise it with foam tape? Do I keep it flat? Do I shape it? What do I do with it in order to gain something even more? I mean, to be honest, what more do you need? It's perfect, right? But I want to do something. I want to play in some kind of way. I don't want to raise it too much, and I think I'm going to leave it flat because I think structurally it's exactly where it should be. But what I was saying to you a moment ago about me working on white, it's very rare you'll ever see me put any kind of vignette straight onto a coloured backing paper. Very rare. I have trouble with that visually, and so for me, I struggle with it. But these perfect papers, because we've got the pattern on it and it breaks that colour up, I can manage it. Not everybody has the same issues with colour, I just struggle, but because it's broken up, I can do it with these, and it makes it so wonderfully pretty, right? Because there's that change. It's just important. I will stop harping on about colour one day. I doubt it. I'm not making promises I can't keep. So I'm just going to add in these corners just to reduce that colour. And all I'm doing is just giving that relief on those edges, breaking up some of that green. Is it me or is it a bit warm in here, Miss Taz?
Yeah.
Is it pretty baking?
A little bit. You are wearing a black blazer.
I am wearing a black blazer. Oh, I had troubles getting that. I might have to take it off. I'm very warm. Can I just remove? Sorry, guys. My big head in the picture. Right, I feel better now. Woof. Whew. Don't know if it's my age or what, but man alive, it's warm. Right, I'm going to go in with my ball tools and we're going to shape out these florals. I'm not touching the label, obviously. I don't want any kind of lift on that, but I do want some lift on the flowers. So I'm going to create those domes with those florals. We'll raise them up and then we're going to decoupage them as well to give it even more lift. And what that's going to do is create dimension on the card, and it's going to bring it away from that green. So it'll allow, again, a relief that comes forward. So I'm just going to use my ball tool. Remember to go from the outside. We're going to work from the outside and we're going to go round. And then we'll work to the in, just to that point. And then same again here. Just working through. See how we dome upwards? I don't want to keep that dome. I want to keep the dome on the florals. I don't want it to rise. It looks like it's on a rocker and I don't want that. So I will move that in a moment. And then I'm going to go in with these, and we're shaping in a bowl upwards rather than downwards so that I can create the lift. Let's get those the right way around, outside to the inside and push in. Now, in order to reduce that bowl in, that dome in, all I'm going to do is push and push. That's it. So it'll remain flat, and I can just move those down as well. Look at that. See how that changes the dimension and we lift, and it just gives a different picture to it, right? And that's all I'm after. So I'll just use this little foam here where I've got my it's actually a 2mm this, it's not a 3mm, it's a 2mm foam, and just place through. Now that's perfect for a sentiment, and I'll be totally honest with you, I would be happy with that just card finish because it's already beautiful. But I'm going to add some decoupage, and I'm going to do it with pin flare. We're raising, I'm going in with height, so I've got a fair whack of pin flare on there, and then I'm just going to pop that very gently on top. I'm not worried about pushing it. I'm not worried about anything. 24 hours, that is going to be solid, but I am now really, really high. So it's just got that really beautiful change. Good morning, Carol Hart. You are a little bit late, but that is more than okay. Just going to place this here. Just make sure the adhesion happens. Pretty, so pretty. Really gorgeous, and you can see how that shadow starts to come in because we've got the decoupage high, so you get that play way. And then this, that bird is so beautiful. So we're going to shape the bird, but we're going to work in increments. It's too big a surface area. What I don't want to do is create an egg. Now birds obviously have that jelly bean shape to the body of them. If I just go in and I go in a circle, I'm going to create an egg shape. And because we're looking at the musculature of the animal, what we want to do is separate the wing from the body itself. And there's ways of doing that. One of the best ways you can do it, or one of the most effective ways you can do it, is to actually just shape the wing. Because what will happen is that will protrude and the body will remain flat, but we end up with the flat tummy on the bird. So what we can do is just work separately, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've got the big side of the ball tool here, the big ball tool if you like, and I'm going to work at the bottom first, then I'll go into the wing and I'll do it separately. So what I'm going to do is start working from the bottom with the big ball tool, okay? And I'm just going to go into a rocking motion, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a smaller ball tool and I'm going to work underneath the wing. The smaller the ball tool that I take here, the more separation I will get. So you can work through and through. Then I'm going to work on the wing separately. So the wing will come here. I've got the bigger ball tool again. So now I'm going in for this, which will give me less of a push than the bottom of the body that I've just done. So I'm getting that separation between the wing. I can feel it. I can feel the separation. That's much pushed forward, and this brings the wing through. And then I can take the smaller ball tool, working with that head and working round. That beautiful shaping out. A little bit on the tail feathers. Good morning, Mags Brown. See how beautiful that is? And so the shape-wise, I've got separation between the body and the wing, so you get that perspective. What I'm going to do is just wiggle that, push that, exactly where I want it, and now I've got full degree of separation. And then I'm just going to place a bit of pin flare in that. Fair amount. Let's give it some oomph. Isn't she beautiful? Place her at the bottom, so I've got a grounding device. Really beautiful. And all I'm going to do now is just attach a couple of fuzzy one balls. Just into the corners. Just as a little styling device for those corner edges. How pretty is that? Really, really stunning. And we get to play because we've got all of those colorways and all of that effectiveness coming through. Isn't it just beautiful? And this is what we get with Carnation, that stunning flow. And it's always got that gorgeous... Carnation's very graceful, isn't it? All the stuff that we get from Carnation, there's a grace about it. It's why they use me as a demonstrator. It's not. You get that beautiful grace and style. And it's so pretty. All of that depth. I'm just going to turn that ever, sorry Miss Taz, I'm just going to turn it that way. There, you can start to see all of that shaping out coming through. If you can take the time with your ball tool and just play with that, it just gives you that beautiful element, that height. Right, let's have a look at an aperture. Let's do an aperture. Hey up. Good morning, Michelle Stedman. I do love it when you all join. It's like friends. Let me just do this with scissors and then I'm not quite as noisy. You all right, Miss Taz? You're looking perplexed. You need to put a card back there. Is it annoying you? What size?
I'll get it.
Does that make you happy? Are you looking to see if you can be seen on camera? You can't.
Good.
So let's have a walk through this. Just to remind you, while I am just doing this sticking together, this is found on Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk under the number 230413. The collection is called Into the Sunlight. It's stunning. You've got a show price of $89.99, but you have to use your code from your newsletter. If you don't have that, it is going to come up at $99.99. If you're not signed up to the Carnation Crafts newsletter, honestly, please do, because it gives you 10% across pretty much site-wide. There are obviously sometimes exceptions to that rule, but majority wise it's 10%. That's 10% off your glues, it's 10% off everything. It makes complete sense to go and get that newsletter. Right, let's stick this. Ooh, Sue Martin, did you? Sue says, I used the DL card shape with Pure Enchantment the other day. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? What is about Carnation's DLs? Something about the way they do them is so, I don't know, tactile and lovely. It's really, really gorgeous. Hey, Anne Munson, how you doing, lovely? This collection is a stunner. Who said that? Pam. Yeah, isn't it? Really pretty. Hey up. Right, let's do the tabs. Look. You can tell I fell in love with this colour, right? It's just pretty, but let's play with it as an aperture. So we've got the same card shape that we had before. And same colours, let's change it up. Push and pull. So when we're playing with apertures, one of the things that we've got to find out, we've got to denote from the very start is if I'm putting something underneath my aperture, what size shape above it do I need? And do I need to put the thing down before I put the aperture down? Because if I can't tuck, then I've ruined the work that I'm playing with. And believe me, I've done that so many times and it's incredibly frustrating. This card might be one of the simplest cards that you can make, but it's really effective. It's really pretty. Now I'm using a lot of the similar elements that we had the last time, and it's just how we change it, how we make a different effect on what we're doing. So having that placed right in that center point there, and then using the second die here, and then skipping a couple and using the next one down. That's creating my apertures, okay? So we're just skipping a die or two, and that will give me my aperture. Look how pretty that is. And see how it frames it? Take it away. It's the change, right? Something happens. It's just pretty. But I also know that if I place that down first and try and tuck that in, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to happen. So I've got to get that stuck first. I need to find that point. Sent from the Heart, again, one of those gorgeous stamps from Carnation. They do them so beautifully. So just a little bit of wet glue placed into the center. And it's really easy to find your center points because you've got that pointy bit at either side, just there. Make sure that sticks. Remember, with perfect papers, your adhesion takes a little longer. It does have a gloss surface, so it just takes a little bit longer to do it. Now, I've got some elements here. I appear to have lost a rose, which is quite exciting, but we'll play anyway. Now, 5mm foam tape, thick, high. Whenever I'm working, hey Joyce, how you doing? Whenever I'm working with apertures, I'm always going to select a 5mm because the bigger the depth I can have between it and between what's underneath it, the more effective it becomes because you get that drop and that recesses everything back. And when it recesses, it becomes it becomes bigger almost, as bizarre as that sounds, because we're framing it, which is why when you buy pictures, they nearly always have a mount around them. It's done for a very specific visual reason. And so I will always recess it as much as I can. So it becomes like a box frame. So I'm just going to pull this in. I'm not going to take all of these off, but I'll take a few. Just make sure I've got some adhesion on each side. This obviously is going to help secure that even more. So if my wet glue hasn't secured enough, this will secure it further. Is that about straight, Miss Taz? Because I can't see at all. Oh, it's so pretty. Isn't it gorgeous? There's something about this collection, right, guys? That is just stunning. So let's just add in a little flourish just at the side. This pretty pink rose. Smaller end of a ball tool. I'm just going to work on the outside, and I am using a very small ball tool. It's not a big surface area, so I want to give it the attention it needs just to bring that through. Look at that. Isn't that stunning? So pretty. And then taking the little bird, so remember we used the big one before, I'm using the same elements but I'm changing the card completely, and this is the joy of Carnation, that we can change all the time. So I'm just going to take the small ball tool this time, work on his body just here, right to under that wing. Same effect though this time, I'm going to use the wing separately. So working round, and just pushing that through, a little bit on his face, a little bit on his tail feather. Bring his tail feather forward and just move his head slightly, and then shape that wing so it protrudes even more. Really easy to do, but really effective too. So then I'll put these over here, and we're just going to bring these to a little point. So pin flare. Just a tiny element on that corner. I'm going to use a tiny bit of adhesive here, but very tiny, because essentially I'm going to steal the pin flare from inside. Tuck that flourish through. Making sure it doesn't overlap at the bottom or protrude further than the bottom of the card shape, so it'll still stand. Now, I'm going to pop this wee bird just sitting on this rose, but I'm not going to use pin flare because he's going to overlap the corner. I'm actually just going to use a tiny bit of adhesive, mainly on his tail, and he's just going to sit with his little feet. Hey up. Put it on his tail, and his tail's not hit there. Just bear with. A little bit just on the edge so he sits. Don't need much. And he's just looking into that picture. So what we're doing is bringing the detailing out of the card. So we recess into via the aperture, and then we pull the bird onto the side with that little rose, and what that allows is a change to happen, and he's just looking into that frame because we've got that space. So you get all of that beautiful, gorgeous sort of extra dimension, and the way it just draws out is really pretty. It's just the most gorgeous collection. But just to show you next to that, this is going to be difficult to ask. I don't know if you can pan out or not on that camera, but when I put that next to it, and we can see the change. So we have the same elements. We're using the same colours, we're using the same card shape, we're using the same elements essentially. Yes, we're using the smaller bird and we've got a different flourish, but we're using the same, but they are completely different, those cards. And that's just the use of an aperture really is always going to be a help, and that's why nested dies become your most important, because they've got the playway. We can use them to bring great effect to cards. Now if you were to take, we were talking about Pure Enchantment a minute ago, if you were to take Pure Enchantment and do the aperture like we've done there, and put those fairies in that little fairy house, just using these nested DLs, and to have that sitting with that little fairy house and then the fairies going up, again we've created the mystery, because that's what an aperture will do. It gives us that hidey hole, doesn't it? You know, that area of kind of fairy tale. That's what apertures do. And I love that about them because it's a way to create. Let's have a look at some pink. I'll take you to a different colour. This is going to be a very, very simple card. Actually, all of these cards are very, very simple. But when you've got a set to work with, it's that pretty. I think I've used all of my original card shapes with that dome in on CNC. Oh no, we've got some here. Let's have a look. Card shape. So look at that. Rounded corners. Rounded corners please me. There's something about them. Sue Martin says, woohoo, the postman just put my Coronation die set through the letter. Coronation die set is beyond sweet. You were not here for that, Miss Taz.
I was on holiday.
We were all abandoned by Miss Taz. Abandoned. She's not going to hear the end of this for a long, long time, just so she knows.
First thing I heard when I came back. Don't go away again.
You are not allowed to leave me anymore. So, look at that. Those beautiful, beautiful patterns on those perfect papers. Sorry, I get really, really obsessive about colour, but they do it so well at Carnation. 1 mil foam tape. You've got the wee slots here. Now, if you've got the piece that domes over, just bear with, because it's not actually part of this demo, but let me see if I've got one in my bag of tricks here, so I can show you how it works. Just let me shimmy this open, get one of these out, because I'll show you how it works even if I'm not actually using it for demo, because you do need to see it. So let's pull this down. Oh, I am maffed in. I'm not lying here, I'm maffed in. Full on. Place that. Push, pull. Just so I can show you, because I'm not actually using it with this card specifically. I could, shall I?
Yeah.
Let's play. Let's play. Let's do it my way. Let's just make stuff up as we're going along. Let's do it like that instead. Now, I will say, when you're using this panel, you're often best off sticking it first. It'll make your life easier. I'm not going to do that. I'm only demoing anyway, but you can tuck it through and you can glue it onto the underside. So before you stick this down, you can actually poke that through. You can start sticking it. It's how you want to play with it. Just play and see where you go with it, but it's very simple to use. Then I'm going to place that on top. So we're creating that drop shadow with the darker pink, bringing forward to the lighter pink, same pattern on both of them. So we create a drop shadow because it's the same paper effectively, but one's darker. So you're just creating that shadow at the back. And then I've got this panel. Oh, I love this. How gorgeous is that? It's a really lovely modern touch with the very vintage that we've got on the card. I love it. I really love it. So I'm going to just glue this down. Now, at the moment, I am literally making this up as we go along. Nothing like changing your demo halfway through. And I'm going to, on air, live, on the telly box, let's change the demo. Never want to make my own life simple. If you were to just put a sentiment on there, it's so pretty. It's really, really pretty. Put a little owl. Just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Right, sorry. So you've got your piece here. Now this is going to create a dome. We're going to dome over. So what that means is we've got choices with what we're playing with, how we're playing with it, and what you want to do with it. So if I wanted to, I could place that underneath, okay, and I could, if that was plain, and I could have that going over the top. Obviously you wouldn't stamp it, but that will bring a floral out at either side, and it's just a textural design. Because I'm not going to do that, I'm going to put this on first, and I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to hope and pray that this works as a demo now that I've changed everything up. So I'm just folding where those score lines are. Help if I had my glasses back on my head. So I'm just going to tuck, and I'm not going to glue, but I do advise you to glue them if you're not posting them. So I'm just going to slot that through. And then same again at the other side. This is why you need to, actually, just let me chuck a bit of glue on this because it's going to drive me batty. So tuck it through. Hey up. There. So it just slots. And I'm just going to push to try and get that adhesion to just sit before I drive myself insane. And then we're going to do the same at the other side, but I want it to dome. So I'm just going to make sure I don't squash that and so I don't cause, look at that. Miss Taz, will you look at that? Pretty, 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 isn't it? Just look, look, look at the thing. Little bit of glue here, just so I can save myself the hassles of it slipping in and out. And then I'm just going to find the slot and push. Okay. Wow. 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 I'm in love. That's with absolutely no effort, Miss Taz. Isn't that gorgeous? Your face says it all. Isn't that so pretty? Now, because I've got that dome in, obviously this wasn't the demo I had planned, but I can put that straight across. I'm not actually going to use that piece now that I have created this, but I will say I do love that. If I was going to do it, I would not have stamped it. So if I turn it the other way, obviously I've got my foam tape there so you can see the yellow. I would have placed mine just there. And I would have had, actually, do you know what? Let me see what I've got in my bag of tricks. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's play. I got a blank one. Let's do this. Just make sure I've got my florals where I want them. I'm going to put it, I'm going to edge it. There we go. Okay, I want the dome, I want that filigree on show because that's just a work of art itself. It's beautiful, isn't it? Now you can cut those tabs off, just FYI. So if you choose to, you can cut the tabs completely away and you can just lay it flat straight over the card, which is what a lot of the DT team did as well, because we have different ways of playing with it and that's important. It doesn't give it the domed effect, obviously, because you've placed it flat, but it still looks very effective and it's very, very beautiful. But also, if you're to do something like an 8x8 card, it gives a really lovely flash on your card as well. So different uses, very pretty. Let's decoupage. Let's play with height and some elements. So we're just going to work from the outside here. And again, I'm creating a bowl. Now, most of you know that I dome downwards when I'm creating florals, but not when it's got the flourish on the side. That's always going to sit upwards for me. And that's what we're going to do here. Just going into that central point. And then I'm going to do the same again with two more, but this time without those flourishes. But this time I am obviously going to still dome it up because it'll go against itself if I do it the other way. So we're just going to go round, and then once we get to that center point, we work more in the center than we do on the edges. Mainly with the edges, all we're doing is breaking fibers, and it's the center point that creates the dome more than any of the other. Just working round. Pretty. Decoupage, decoupage, decoupage. And lay those florals on top. Just look at that. Building up those layers. Just creating structure on the card. That depth, that beautiful depth. and the shadow that comes through from that gorgeous filigree. So everything is working in harmony together, and you've got all of that detailing. It's so pretty. Now I've got the little owl here, and I think what I'm going to do is just place his wings round so he's domed that way, and I think I'll pop him just sitting on that filigree as if he's landing. So his feet are going to go here so that I know he's got a grounding device. I'll be totally honest, you don't need it. It's so perfect, isn't it? It's so pretty just as it is, but I do want to show you all of the little characters if I can, or as much of the set that you're purchasing so that you know what you're getting when you get it home. So we'll just pop him with his little feet just landing on the edge as he's coming in. And I'll leave it at that because we've changed the demo up, so I don't want to go too heavy on anything else. Isn't that just pretty, pretty, pretty? So the amount of different cards that we're making, I'm hoping my decoupage holds up because it's obviously not dry. And just beautiful. Those gorgeous lines, the yellow and pink working together so prettily. Really vintage, very, very shabby chic, very feminine and very, very pretty. This is the Into the Sunlight collection, and you can find that on the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You'll find this under the number 230413. It's $89.99 today. That's a show price, but you have to use your code from the newsletter, and that will give it you that price. If not, it's going to be $99.99. Free UK P&P because it is over the £50 mark, and obviously you can get your perfect papers as well. They will be on the website at the same time. You can get all that and to put it into your basket. It's really warm in here. And so yeah, that's your collection for today. Get your vignettes, get all of your stuff from the Carnation Crafts website. Miss Taz is handing me this because it is super cute. And just to let you all know, we're about to use the squirrel ourselves. Look how gorgeous that is. Just look. How gorgeous is this set? Really just, man alive, they just keep hitting it out the park, don't they? I have just been doing some demos. We've got a launch next week of a brand new collection, and it is epic. It's epic. It's not quite as feminine as this one. It's very different to this one. It's epic, and still all of the elements that we're using today will go with that collection. If you want to go and have a look on the Carnation Crafts website and have a look on there's a calendar on the Carnation Crafts website, and if you want to go and have a look on the calendar, it tells you what we've got coming up when we've got it. So Carnation do a launch they do 2 launches a month essentially, and that has always historically been the same. So I'm back on CNC tomorrow with Dawn of Spring, but you can see next week we've got a collection coming which is called Hazy Horizons.
But it will be on a Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday, yeah. So we're launching on the Wednesday, so we'll be on out on the Wednesday and on the Thursday. Sharon will be doing the demos on the Thursday. I'll be doing the demos on the Wednesday. And it's awesome. It's really awesome. So go and have a look at the calendar, have a ferret through and see what's there, and make sure you just check the deal of the day while you're there as well, because they do some right corking little bargains. Right, let me white on white you up. It had to be one, didn't there, right? What are you looking at, Miss Taz? Oh, I love the lattices. Ooh, that is a lot of money off that. I can't remember which collection they're from, the lattices, but I really love them. Is it from Colour of Autumn, Miss Taz? It's my brain skewing.
1 second.
I can't remember.
It is from Colour of Autumn.
Was I right?
You were right.
We know that never happens, so that's exciting. Right, let me just play. That's just separated, so I'm just putting it back together. Right, let's play. White on white, one of my all-time favourite things to work with. It's clean. I like clean lines. So, card shape always done the same way by me as a rule, unless it's a specific type of card shape. I always do it with the little score at 1/2 inch, the red liner tape, and then the fold and the scoring lines that I've done. Now, on this particular card, I'm not going to use any backing papers whatsoever. I'm not even going to use an extra piece of white. I'm just sticking with the card base. End of. I'm not going to use any colour to influence the vignettes because the artwork that Carnation produce is so strong, actually, that sometimes just using that white base with nothing else, no other visual, is one of the most powerful things you can do. And the reason that's the case with this one, you've got those vintage colours, and then added to that, you are also getting the label shapes. And then we've got the little white flourishes. So I've got everything I need in those really gorgeous, vibrant colours to make everything pop. Everything I need just with the card base. Because sometimes visually, white is your best friend with Carnation. Not all the time, but sometimes. And this is what we're going to play. We're going to do some white on white, and we're going to bring in some of those flourishes. So let's play. My favourite thing to do, Miss Taz. We're going to look at those corner elements. We're going to look at those beautiful dancing flourishes because they're so pretty. Let's play. C says, you know, you have a lot of CC collections when you check the deal of the day and think to yourself, yep, got that. I had to sort, I think some of you may have seen it in the group, I had to sort all of my Carnation dies out the other day and I put them all in envelopes. And so every single collection that they've got, I've got an envelope for, and I think I've only got 2 envelopes that are empty, which I think is extraordinary. Never, ever get tired of using Carnation, and that's a really powerful thing. As a demonstrator, I have to say that is incredibly powerful because obviously we do so many shows, right? But I never get bored of using Carnation's dies. So little elements of glue on here, not too much. We're just sticking these corners in. White on white, stark. And beautiful. That needs to just come down a smidge. Corners are incredibly important, aren't they, on cards? Gives us something. Says, yippee, my coronation and party setting has just arrived in time to play. Yay! I love that coronation die, it's so cute. So what I've created here is white on white, so I'm not detracting from that white base. I haven't got any mats and layers at all. So by using the corners, I create the mat and layer myself without using a mat and layer, if that makes sense. I just create the visual. And it's because we're working white on white, so we can do that. If it was in colour, if these were cut in colours, it'd be a very different card. So it's very specifically done in white for me. I can then add in these. See how we start to play? And we're creating a theatre. It's called a dancing flourish because we create a theatre with them. They're so pretty. Now I'm going to cover up a lot of this, and I would never leave my workings in the centre like I just showed you there. It's uncomfortable for me, so I would need to cover it. I'm just using it for a little bit of a visual on the edges. So just placing that down. So what I mean by leaving my workings, to make sure that adheres, is where the 2 points meet at the centre. I couldn't leave that just as it is. It makes me feel odd there. I don't like it. Do you see what I mean? There's something wrong with having that on display in the centre. I have to cover that. Now I'm obviously going to cover it with a label anyway, but just under general rules, I wouldn't be able to leave that. It would make me feel very like it's unfinished somehow. So just the way I work, but I couldn't deal with it. So let's take this off. I'm on a 5mm here. We are raising, we are going high. And that is just going to secure over the top of that flourish. So I'm covering a lot of the flourish. What I get is the detailed points at the end, and it just extends it. Isn't that pretty? Really beautiful. But see how the colour pops against that white. No mats, no layers here. We've got the theatre from the corners, and then that beautiful show of colour in the centre. Really pretty. So let's just add in some little elements here. Not too much. Actually, I will use some pin flare on these. And just bring those flowers further round. just facing them away slightly from each other. Pushing down. Add in a little leaf. There's a little flourish. Don't know if I've got enough pin flare to steal that. Put some of this. Little tuck-ins. Tuck-ins are always wonderful. It's building. See how pretty and clean we're working here? I'm just going to take that over to a side. So it points in the opposite direction of that leaf, so we get a balance through. And then the little star of the show. Just sitting him. I'm covering my workings there, but I'm okay with that. Just tuck him under those roses so he's grounded and pop him straight in so we get all of that beautiful dimension that sits. Look at his little face. No bats, no layers, no colour on the back. Everything is done by the power of the artwork that you get from Carnation. Those colours just pop against that white so much. All of the dimension that we've got, everything working through, really, really stunning. See how all that dimension works? Pretty as a picture. Cute, right? There's something about Carnation. I've got one more card, Miss Taz, one more card. Can we do it? Can we do one more? 5 demos in one show, that's quite some going. So when you're having a play with this collection, if you start to think of the different ways that you can bring it out and bring out the designs on it, essentially, you know, what can you gain from it? Where is your gain point on it? You start to realize that this is an incredibly versatile collection because there's a lot we can do with it. I'm going to work on an 8x8 by this one. So I've done the main card shape from the collection. I've worked with those nested DLs as well. And now we'll go to the 8x8, the traditional that a lot of us use a lot of the time, right? So we'll work on a basic base, 350 GSM. Pushing that down so that it doesn't stick accidentally. Using the line on my board to just make sure that I am about right. Wow. I love these perfect papers. Ew. About right, Miss Taz? See how we play. Now, I was saying to you before about not needing to use a piece of white on top on these colours because they're textured and they're, you know, well, not textured, but they're patterned, right? And that is true, except for me personally, if I'm using an 8x8, then I can't, because that's too much colour. There's too much colour. If I'm using a DL, it's streamlined, right? But that for me is just too much. If I start to put something on there, I'm going to feel uncomfortable that I'm losing the colour somehow, although that actually looks very pretty. But she says as she changes her mind halfway through the sentence, it looks real. That bird looks real. But to me, I need to cool those tones just a little bit for me. So I'm going to work in with some white just to create my stage. Everyone's different. I'm not saying my way is the right way. It's just the way I craft. So again, create that stage. Look how pretty that is. It's like a present, it looks like a gift. Isn't it beautiful? Colour play. So what I'm going to do here is take another piece and I'm just going to lay it over, right? Now I've got options here. I'm not going to, but just to give you a different example of what you could do. See how you've got that dome piece with the gorgeous flourish. I've still got another one. What I could do here, if I so chose, cut the tabs off and lay that filigree. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, hold on, wait. I'm having an epiphany. Hold on. If I cut these off and lay that across that texture piece. Isn't that pretty? Do I need it the other way? Oh, I like that, Miss Taz. Now, do I like that just white on white? No, it needs the pink. Isn't that gorgeous? Probably a bit too pointy for me, but isn't that pretty? Right. I can't do it that way. Hold on. Let's lay this down. So what I'm doing is creating, essentially, I suppose you would call it a grounding device, but I'm doing it halfway up the card, and it's just going to give, so the rule of thirds, it's going to change the visual point. So I get to choose at this point, do I want to work on the white above, do I want to work on the pink, or do I want to work below? Now obviously I'm not going to work below, it makes no sense. It's got to be a choice of those two or both of those two. If I'm going to work on both of them, I'm going to need to leave some white space. If I'm just going to work up here, I can take all I need because I've got visual relief here, and if I'm going to work on here, then I don't need to worry about it all. But if I'm going to work on both, I am going to need some visual space, so you'll need a white space on that. Now, one of the ways that we can play is to add corner elements into this. So we can choose here to make choices. Do you want that white on white? Do you want to put them onto your little banding here? It depends where you're playing, and it depends what you're doing and how you're choosing to do it. I'm going to work out what I want to do first, and then I'm going to make those choices. Now, I'm not going to shape these out too much. I'll shape some of the florals, but I won't go too much to town because we are running over the hour point, and I don't want to keep you any longer than you need to. So I will be relatively fast. Now, I'm going to dome these. I'm just going to work out, do I want them upwards or downwards? I think I'll go upwards with that flourish. Same again with this one. Now, I'm only using the decoupage elements here. I'm not even using the label. This is the strength of it, isn't it? Because I don't even need to use the main label. I can just use the decoupage. And I talk a lot about this with Carnation, because what Carnation do, and I think it's so important as a crafter, the decoupage that they use, often when we use decoupage in different elements, you'll get it where it's kind of like a layered decoupage. So you'll have, say, a rose, the next piece of decoupage will be at 2/3 of a rose, the next will be half, the next, and when you build your layers like that, and they do look so pretty. I'm not dissing that at all as a process, but I can cut those elements myself with Carnation. Instead, what I get is a choice. I can decoupage it, or I can use it as an individual element. And so for me, in my brain, if I've got a decoupage element and it's only 1/3 of a flower, it's very difficult for me to use that individually. I can choose to cut it myself where I need to, because I've got cut lines in Carnation stuff, so I can create my own little layers if I want to, or I get the choice of using that as an individual floral. So I'm getting double for my money, if you like, because it's very difficult to use 1/3 of a rose on its own. Does that make sense? So I like the fact that I'm left with that freedom, that choice. So let's build in to this. I think I'm going to work top half. Now I'm just going to raise the feet of those so I can tuck that stem just under. I might be inclined, you know, to tuck that under completely. What do you think, Miss Taz? What do you think?
I like it creeping over.
Do you like it creeping over? Pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty.
It looks
It's like,
like
like it's hanging on.
Yeah.
I can cut them off if I don't like them. I can choose to play however I want. I'm just going to pair those in. Gorgeous, right? Beautiful. And then I'm just going to level that out with a yellow floral in the center so that I don't have too much of that pink. So we balance the color out and just lay that. Really pretty, really, really pretty. Now my corner elements. I think I'm going to keep them on there. I think I'm going to keep them on my pink. It's where they seem most correct to me. Miss Tiztaz, I've lost my wadjum. So I'm just going to place this, I nearly put it up there then after I'd said I wouldn't, onto there. And then this piece onto here. Just bringing that edge too. Okay, so we're just bringing those florals through. And I'm going to have the little bird. Now I can choose, but I like the little bird sitting just off center. I don't want him right in the middle, otherwise I'm bringing a pyramid, an upside down pyramid into the card, and it does not look right compositional. Now I could get away with it by putting the bird on top, but I've got too much going on up at the top there, and I like the off-kilter side just sitting with his beak, because he has a reason to be there, right? There's a reason for him to be there. So what I'm going to do is just pop a little floral, one of those tiny elements, a little bit of glue, just there, placed in his beak essentially. So he's carrying a little rose bud that he has found. Now you could obviously shape him. I won't shape him again. You've seen how to shape the bird. So I'll just pop some decoupage, not decoupage, pin flare. Goodness me, my brain. And there he sits, just off kilter. And we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it at that, because it works, because Carnation works. You can add in little tuck-ins with this just to bring your florals and make them bigger and make them, you know, add more in, bring a bountiful bouquet. But we haven't obviously got time this morning, and I don't want to keep you too long, but you can add all kinds of elements into this to make it larger. Now if you're working on something like this, one of the really beautiful ways that you can play is to bring your flowers down the side in a cascade. If you're going to do that, rather than just one straight edge, you can bring it round with something slightly more on this side and bring it almost as a corner element. Then you could have the little bird sitting as such this way, so you would have the cascade coming down. Hold on, let me cover up that pin flare. So you could have the cascade coming down the side of the card and the little bird. You just need a grounding device, and you have grounding devices in this collection with that beautiful tree stump that you get, or the twig if you like. And you could use that here to allow him to sit in that way and cascade your florals right the way down and just bring it in so it's even more kind of bountiful, if you see what I mean, and you'll create something really stunning in that way too. I hope that's given you all a little bit of extra inspiration. I know you don't really need inspiration. You're all amazing at what you do anyway. I see them in the group. I know how good you all are. But it's nice when we work with different ideas. And it's lovely to see the DT's cards as well. So massive thank you to all of the DT team. You are incredible. Massive thank you to Carnation as well. And a massive thank you to Miss Taz. Before I go, I will just remind you that this can be found on the Carnation Crafts website. It's called Into the Sunlight. The website is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk, and the number you can find this on is 230413. And that, my friends, is the Into the Sunlight collection. I will see you all on Create and Craft tomorrow night, I think. I don't know the times. 4 o'clock, Miss Taz is saying. I'm on at 4 o'clock. I'm so hopeless. I will see you all then. And until then, please really do take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.